Let's talk middle school, specifically 7th grade curriculum for 2022-2023. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Megan and I'm so glad that you're here. Today we're going to be talking about, as I said, middle school curriculum picks for my son who will be going into 7th grade next year. Now, I am a homeschool mom to 6 kids. 5 of them will be actual homeschool age next year. My oldest, as I said, is going into 7th, and the youngest that is school age will be going into kindergarten, and then I also have a very busy toddler. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you, of course, the curriculum picks for next year, but all of this comes with a lot of, oh my goodness, I almost have a high schooler. Actually, I've got 2 years until then, but it feels like it's coming so fast. And this year really hit me hard in that realization that we literally only have 2 years till high school. And that feels like a very heavy weight to carry. But I hope that sharing my curriculum choices for my son is helpful to any of you guys who are feeling that same weight and pressure. Now let's get started with those picks, and let's start first of all with science. Now, I have always done science and history as family subjects. It's something that is easy to tailor up or down depending on the ages, and technically I could have stuck with that this year as well, but we really wanted to really foster that independence in learning, and so he is actually going to be on his own for science this year. Now, obviously, I'm going to be close by and there to facilitate any of his needs that he may have. But without further ado, I'm going to share with you the science that I have chosen for him. Now, I say I have chosen, but really he was a huge part in choosing all of this curriculum. All of these things he gave his input on and his blessing on. And this is one part of his curriculum that he is dying to start. So he will be doing Apologia's General Science next year. Now, this is written specifically for 7th grade to transition them into 8th grade, which will start physical science. Now, he, as I said, is doing general science. This literally is general science. It's going to cover everything from like the universe to earth science to oceans and the creatures that live within them. All of those things, and he is so excited about this program. Now, this is the textbook. It is very typical of Apologia's textbook format, but it's written in a way that is very engaging. That's one thing I really like about Apologia. The other thing that he has to go along with it are the tests. And then here is the big, thick, meaty student notebook. Now, this is where he will complete his work for this program, and this is what he's really excited about. When you open this up, it has everything laid out into this nice little calendar grid, and each day that he finishes, he can put a check, and it's a nice way to do a countdown until he's done with the program. And then the other thing that we're super excited about is that once you open this to the first lesson, for example, in the student notebook, it tells him exactly what he's going to do for the day, and it has these check boxes beside it. So for example, his day 1 of science will be to write the definitions to the vocabulary words. That is on this page over here. Write a sentence or two summarizing what you learned in each section with its heading. So they have a graphic organizer here where they're going to fill in all of their notes for each section that they read. And then it also has questions to answer and gives any other things that they need to finish. Now, another thing that's really neat is, say they have a science experiment the next day, it will instruct them to gather the supplies for their science experiment for their next day of study. And I love how they've done this whole checklist thing. I am a very checklist oriented person, and so is my oldest son, and he's excited about the independence that comes with this. He loves science, and he's excited about being in 7th grade. So that is the pick for his 7th grade science. It is Apologia's General Science. Now let's move on to the next subject, which I actually don't have here to show you, but it's something that I talk often about on my channel, and that is his math choice for next year. Now, math is an area that has been kind of a struggle and an area to play catch up in over here. We had a weird transition a couple of years back with trying out another math program that didn't quite work well for us. And then we tried another one that didn't quite work well. And then we found ourselves right back in our tried and true Christian Light Education math. But we are trying to work our way back into being right where we need to be with that as far as levels. And so next year he will be doing Christian Light Education's Math 6 rather than 7. Now it is a little bit more advanced math, so I'm not really worried about it. I think he'll be fine and great, and he'll get right up where he needs to be by the time he gets to high school and needs to take Algebra 1 and so on and so forth. But that is his math pick for next year. If you're curious about Christian Light Education's math program, I will put a couple links to some videos that I have done about it in the past. They aren't for the level he's going to be on. They're for younger levels, but it'll at least give you an idea of the layout of the program and the reasons why I like it so much. Now let's head on to the next subject, which is grammar. Language arts, writing, reading, all of those things. So we actually really like IEW, specifically their Fix-It Grammar. He will be continuing with this. So this year he did, what was the first one? The Nose Tree, and he's finishing up the Country Mouse one. So he kind of went through those rather quickly. So he's going to be doing Robin Hood, which is their level 3 of Fix-It Grammar. So if you're not familiar with Fix-It Grammar, I do have a video of that where you can look inside a little bit more detail of how the program is laid out. I will stick a link to that down below in the description box as well. But this is his grammar that he will be doing next year, which works out perfectly because we are actually studying medieval history next year in our homeschool. Now that is a subject area that I have done a separate video on because it is a family subject, but we are going to be using BiblioPlan for our family's history program next year. I also have a couple of videos about BiblioPlan specifically if you want to see inside that one. But I'm super excited about that program. All of my kids are too. We are just waiting we can't wait until next year. Now, to go along with that, this year we used IEW's Structure and Style program. And so for his writing, he is going to be using IEW's medieval history-based writing lessons. So this uses the structure and style method that we used this year in the program that we did. And again, it uses medieval history based, which is really actually pretty cool. So one of the things that I did when I was choosing his read alouds is in this program, it actually gives suggestions of read alouds that they can read that kind of correspond with their writing assignments. I'm trying to find it. I think it's in the teacher's manual, sorry. Some of the writing assignments that he's going to be doing this year, one is about the Anglo-Saxons, one is just about the Middle Ages in general, monasteries, Beowulf, which is, you'll see in just a second, The Sword and the Stone, the Vikings, Alfred the Great, samurais, and just so on and so forth. So because of that, they have given suggestions of read alouds that correlate with the different writing. And it is in this nice little laid out grid that breaks down each lesson and the literature suggestions and things like that. So he is also excited about this. He is my kid probably that gets the most excited about curriculum. He's a boy after my own heart with that one. But that is his writing for next year. It helped me choose his reading for next year. And so what I have done is very similar to what I've done with one of my other children, which is I have chosen several books for him, and then he will be using this reading journal from Not Consumed Ministries to fill out each day that he has read. Now, I have shared this in another video, actually 2 other videos, but I'm going to share a quick look at it here. So the way this reading journal is broken down is there are 2 entries on each page. So this would be day 1, for example. So whatever he reads in one of his books, he will put the title of the book, the pages he read, and then this one, for example, is going to compare this text to another text he may have read. So compare and contrast. Then the next day, he might fill out this part, which is know the truth. Do the facts in this story line up with God's word? I just really like this because not only is he going to be evaluating what he's reading in a lot of different ways, he's going to talk about things he learned, he's going to write down vocabulary words, he's going to talk about the setting and all of those kinds of things, the characters in each of these entries. But what I really like about it is it puts in there that reflection of having a biblical worldview based on what we are reading. That does what we're reading line up with God's word? And if so, how? And if it doesn't, how does it go against God's word? And so I'm really excited about using this for next year. I think it'll be really, really age appropriate for him, especially developmentally appropriate for his faith and just developmentally in general, to start reflecting independently on what he has read. So he will be using that. In the past, we used the Progeny Press guides. That's what we used this past year. And while they were fun, I felt like they were a little bit of busy work. I didn't really like the structure of how it has you read the whole book and then you read chapter by chapter again and fill out a series of questions that's multiple pages long. And he wasn't a huge fan of that either. And so I'm really into this self-reflection on the text, but also the prompts that it gives in here. And then it's going to give us some good talking points as well. And it will correlate with his writing because here are the books I have chosen. Now, these are 6 books that I have chosen either by using his writing for next year or by looking at biblioplans suggestions for literature as well. And a lot of the ones that IEW suggested are also in biblioplan. So I have chosen him 6 different books to read on his own, but it's not limited to that. These are the ones I am assigning him to do, but he reads pretty voraciously. So I'm not really concerned about him not reading enough and him not having enough choices in his own reading. So these are the 6 I've assigned. So the first one is A Single Shard. Now, A Single Shard takes place in Korea in the 12th century. And so I pulled this one in because I thought that it sounded really interesting and I thought he would really enjoy it as well. The next one that I have chosen is Beowulf. This was suggested in biblioplan, but it's also a writing assignment in his IEW. And so I think he'll really enjoy this one. Crispin, The Cross of Lead by Avi. This one is one that actually was kind of on my radar to begin with for this year, but then of course it went along with biblioplan, and again, it's also suggested in his writing. Now this is a book that he is already like, I want to read this now. He thinks it sounds so interesting, and I think he's really gonna love it. So Crispin is his next one. The next one sounded super interesting to me. It is suggested by IEW. It's called The Kite Rider. So this one sounded super interesting and he really liked the sound of it as well. It's pretty long with some small writing, so that might take him a little while to get through, but I think he's really going to enjoy this one. The next one is Robin Hood. Well, The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood. There's so many different versions of Robin Hood. And then the last one is King Arthur Tales from the Round Table. Now this one is really, really tiny writing. So while it doesn't look that thick, I think it's going to take him some time to get through this one as well, especially because some of these are written in Old English. So this is definitely going to be a little bit of a learning curve for him, but I think it'll be good for him. So those are the books that we have chosen for his assigned reading this year. And I was also going to share with you guys what he is going to be doing as far as enrichment at our co-op. Now, one of the classes that he is registered for is actually a typing class, which I'm super thankful for because that is one less thing that I have to worry about teaching. He will take it 1 day a week at our co-op. He will have work throughout the week independently here at home. between co-op meetings. The next thing he will be in is PE for middle school ages. And then he's also taking a level 2 cooking class, and he's really excited about that one. For his last enrichment, he takes piano lessons. So that is a 1 day a week thing. He's done that since he was probably in 1st grade, I think. And that is something that he really, really loves, and he practices throughout the week. So that is going to be his 7th grade year. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below, and I will see you all on future videos. Thanks so much, guys, and have a blessed day.